can happen, but as a team, you have to kind of shrug those ones off. That's the stuff that I think you can't get so bothered about because it's something that you can't really fix overnight, right? You can fix the strategical errors. You can fix, hopefully, pick ban errors and things like this. You can't get too worried about, oh, you missed that cocoon that cost us the game, because there's so many other things they can focus on, like their objective control, like their vision, things that can be improved upon game to game.
Let's see what the improvements end up being here on this one. Is the Zach Caitlyn ban, and it's good to see a European team learn that you should ban Caitlyn against NA. We saw Doublelift absolutely smash on Caitlyn earlier this morning. Syndra away from Perks. They don't want to first pick it here for Bjergsen.
LeBlanc is still open, but Elise or Thresh have kind of been the go-to first picks. Obviously with Orianna, Syndra gone, those are some very big mid lane choices.
Instant lock. They think Braum is the most important champion available according to what else is left after the bans.
That's interesting. Also, again, with Thresh and like Tahm Kench and so on available. And of course, Lee Sin could be a jungle choice. But Trick actually has performed the best on Kha'Zix out of any jungler in the current meta. When G2 Esports were really struggling in Europe, they kind of went to the Kha'Zix and say, okay, now we need a good Trick performance, and they did show up on it. Gragas obviously available is a power pick in the current meta, and I actually think back when Trick also used to play Gragas like a year ago, he was very good on it. So I would like to see that again, but I wouldn't blame him for just going for comfort here with the Kha'Zix.
And of course, they already have a tank in the lineup, and all the top laners that people play are reasonably durable, so you can get away with an assassin in the jungle. But as time wanes down, they will wait on the Gragas. Of course, it can still flex. We've seen it top once in a while. In fact, Expect played it already this tournament, so we'll have to see what that actually comes out to be.
Well, this would actually be pretty interesting. Nunu on 713 is exceptionally strong, I think, and we have seen it a little bit here and there. I mean, contracts busted out even in 712, so...
This is the NA casters at every international tournament. They show up and they say, listen, Officio, Nunu jungle. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
To be fair, you're traumatized by solo queue where you have Disco Nunu.
That's true. See, we're used to it here in Europe.
Yeah. No one's surprised by Trick's performance at the MSI. But honestly, Maokai as well, I've heard some people say it feels pretty good after the changes as well. Not that we're going to see it here, but I saw it hovered, it reminded me. And Kha'Zix actually gonna come through for Sven. Had a very good game on it this morning.
Well, and I think it's doubly effective here. You're saying A, Trick has been performing the best on Kha'Zix, so it's a takeaway. And B, if this is Gragas jungle, as we are perhaps assuming that it is, Kha'Zix is considered the very good matchup into Gragas out of the meta junglers. So this is something that I think is a pretty intelligent pick to attack Trick and maybe put him on something else.
And I want to highlight that Bjergsen also locked in his Cassiopeia blind very early on in the draft here. I think TSM didn't want Perks to get a mid lane pick and then pinch two mid laners as well for a great matchup without anything good to pick then for Bjergsen. So the Cassiopeia blind is probably, he feels confident with Syndra Orianna gone, which are two of the very hard matchups for her, that he can take on Perks in any matchup.
Yeah, and then the fact of the matter is, not that Perks has really been playing Galio mid, but if you are concerned at all about that pick, then you're forcing your opponents to pick into a disadvantageous matchup. So I think there's some second and third kind of parts to the thinking around a lot of these picks, and I think it's been a pretty intelligent draft so far from TSM.
I also like how this sort of metagame is evolving within this tournament, which is very, very team fight focused. It seems to be much more important, right? LeBlanc went undrafted in this game, and that's unheard of for some teams overall, and said, no, we're going to ban two team fighters in the Orianna and the Syndra, pick one ourselves with the Cassiopeia, and we'll see when the 5-on-5s, and see if it goes well for themselves, maybe preparing for the Unicorns Love match.
And now Talia coming in, a pick we have not seen a lot this tournament. It's been banned a few times, but most of the time mid lanes have gone like Syndra, Orianna, these kind of champions when they were available. Talia, though, is the kind of champion where if you actually play around mid lane, she's very good at setting up some of these ganks with her knockback, especially against champions like a Cassiopeia that can't really dash out of it. But it does require Trick then to play around Perks, and that's a combination we have not really seen at Rift Rivals.
I do agree, but it's also something where you're going to have the push on Cassio early, and you can look to even, if you want to make plays around Expect, if you want to put him on a carry or something like that, you can use the Talia ultimate to go up to top lane in conjunction with your jungler and have these 3-man plays, or even setting up the 4 or 5-man plays bottom. So Talia is pretty flexible, but I do feel that it's a champion you need to be proactive on, whether it's ganking mid lane or using the ultimate to get the side lanes. You don't want to just sit and farm against a Cassio, or you will be less useful.
I actually would like to see Gnar here from G2 Esports. It's proven to be a fine blind pick.
Yep, there it is. I think Gnar is a great top lane pick right now, and honestly, all we're seeing is somewhat slow melee top laners, and Gnar appears to have good matchups and do all of them overall, so Expect gonna have a nice one. Gragas will be putting into the jungle for Trick.
We did see Haunter play pretty well actually into this matchup though on the Kled. He was able to get a couple solo kills. I want to say it was against Vizitachi.
It was, yeah.
I believe, playing that matchup back. So we may see Hansar just going right back to the Kled. Tristana is available here. Oh, Kled was actually banned out. Tristana is available here for Doublelift, and this has been a very big pick in North America, extremely successful, and relatively popular throughout this tournament. Yeah,
and with the Twitch ban right there, it actually stops Sven from picking that against the Tristana. We saw him do that earlier. Some of these European AD carries, they're looking for some of the matchups where you can take scaling AD carries like Twitch and then survive the lane, and then you're very impactful later. He does still play other hyper carries, obviously Caitlyn being banned away, but I am still...
Twitch gone means there's like really only Cog to match Tristana teamfight damage.
I mean, the Korean teams are looking at this pick and ban phase and screaming, where's the Ashe, where's the Virus? Like, you know, these champions are still available. No one is actually fighting for them.
Double played it twice, and, you know, he had won both those games, but looks like he's not going to be going for that one here. Actually, I should say he did lose Unicorns with it, but won one of them.
The J4 pick is actually pretty interesting for me because while you can get kind of passively bullied out by Gnar, there is some all-in potential, especially in conjunction with your jungler. But that being said, you do have to be pretty cognizant of how you're using your ultimate in team fights, because the constructed walls can actually be used against you by the Gnar for that Mega Gnar ultimate. You can stun the Jarvan right back into that.
All right, so the drafts are all in here, and we're going to see what kind of combos we can get for ourselves. A gigantic frontline for G2, hoping to tank up for Perkz and Sven.
Now, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Vishio, on the Kalista pick here, to me, because it feels like, you know, a relatively low-range AD carry. If you're not snowballing earlier in the game, there's so many threats that you have to actually worry about, you know, with the Kha'Zix and the Cassio and even the J4 and stuff like it. It feels like it could be very tough for Sven to enter the fights if he's not ahead.
Yeah, it might be something about the matchup against Tristana. Obviously, when they are sitting there auto-attacking each other, they both benefit from that. Tristana mainly from the first auto-attacks, where you can then proc your E, and then Kalista, you know, if you get more and more auto attacks, will then go in her favor. But I'm actually very surprised to see Kalista specifically from G2. But what I do feel they have is two side lanes that you can play around with a Taliyah. Because with the Kalista ulti, like, you can actually throw Mithy in there to engage onto TSM's bottom lane with then this Taliyah flying down with a wall. So it seems to me like G2 eSports have two side lanes where they feel like we can actually snowball both of them, and then they just have to pick the right one in game.
And they have a ton of CC, a lot of playmaking, but I do think that there is a prerequisite that you must have like great Gnar ultimates, and you must be, you know, ulting people in on Gragas to be able to win a team fight. Because if it's just a straight up 5v5 without any of the carries getting knocked in from TSM, you are going to get outscaled. You are going to lose a simple team fight. You have to make those plays.
I definitely think the TSM comp is much easier to execute, as you just highlighted right there. But if the coordination is on point here, the very last game for G2 eSports at Rift Rivals, well, we're probably going to ask where was this kind of coordination the last few games, but if they can actually pull it off, then it would be very impressive.
And if you get ahead, I mean, this is definitely a composition you could snowball very heavily with.
A lot of engaged duels that can all dive turrets and tank them up. So we'll see what happens here in this one. TSM looking pretty aggressive at the start. Not going to find anyone to really mess with just yet. But just hanging around and talking to some people and saying hi to the frog that lives in the river. And back they go to their side of the map.
Well, for now, both teams going to be able to back off. TSM didn't actually get any wards down. G2 does get a ward on the blue buff, so they will have a little bit more intel that has kind of been gathered from this level 1.
And I want us to look at the top lane matchup. I think it's actually good for Expect to try and keep Hansar controlled. But obviously the thing about Jarvan compared to a Gnar is Jarvan almost has a window all the time where he can look to make a play with the team, with his TP or his roam, where Gnar is so based around the Mega Gnar specifically. Professional teams obviously can coordinate that very effectively, and we might see TSM always use Hansar early on to then force a fight in this early game here, force a TP play to the bottom side, while Expect is stuck in mini Gnar, because that's obviously, Expect wants to be mini Gnar to bully out the Jarvan, but then he can't really follow a good teleport.
A little bit of a different pathway here. Sven actually going to be killing the big raptor first. That does limit XP gain a little bit. He'll hit level 2 early on and not get all the complete bonuses, but it'll still be a full clear. Raptor will still be plenty of XP on him, and he'll likely get red next up.
They are going to give up a little bit of bot lane advantage there, though. Mithy and Sven will have the push if they decide to actually go for that. So we'll see how heavily TSM wants to try to fight back for this, or if they're just going to be happy enough to just back off.
See the fights go back and forth, see what kind of damage they can get. Nice couple of shots on a Biofrost, and then Doublelift trading back on a Sven, and
really good
a
trade,
pretty good job with that trade, yeah.
And this is what I mean from champs, like how if you just have like 3 or 4 auto attacks traded against each other, it goes in favor of Tristana with her E exploding on Sven there. But if you start getting more and more auto attacks in, then obviously the rend damage will be higher from Sven. But so rarely in the early game do I feel like you get more than at maximum like 4 or 5 auto attacks on the enemy AD carry.
Yeah, until you start picking up some attack speed, you know, things like the early Zerkeries are sometimes common because of that, because Kalista kind of gets not only the attack speed, but it increases your mobility on that champion.
Yep. See things to watch for here. Nice stun, and Expect just going to trade back and forth with some damage. We're seeing slight lead to him, and he's had perfect CS so far in the lane. Feels good. His Warlord's Bloodlust is in for Doublelift, means he has a bit more sustain, but he's taking that little bit of poke from Mithy's Qs.
Well, that's always one of the things about Tahm Kench. Does have a little bit of poke to add. Brom's Q, obviously trying to do a bit of the same, but for now, with melee supports against each other, it is rare. We see massive, you know, all-ins early on, especially when it is a Tahm Kench and Brom, or defensive supports on the side. So let's look top lane instead.
Play. Expect is tired, so no Mega Gnar for a while. Jump forward line, plenty of damage here for Sven. The knockup going to be landing as well. A lot of damage, but there's no further tower that to be had. Sven should recall soon enough anyway, but it's free damage on to Expect.
TSM must have felt very confident that Gragas was not near the top lane. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone so deep here to get extra damage on Expect. Obviously, had 2 good wards being placed earlier with the gank, and predicted correctly that Trick was on the bottom side.
Yeah, but Trick gets a bit of something back for himself. Now Doublelift rocket jumping in just for a couple of auto attacks on Mithy. Biofrost losing a couple hundred health himself, though, and not sure it was actually a better trade overall.
I want to see if Trick can do something on the bottom lane here, because there's no ward from TSM. They might know he's down near the lane, and they're obviously very close to tower, but could look to try and force maybe a flash.
Yeah, they could go for that, but I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen Kha'Zix as well, and if Kha'Zix is pathing down here, it could get turned around. So I think he's just going to take the safer of the options and back off, but still, things pretty even, all said.
Still going to take Krugs right now. You can see G2 with the 200 goldie themselves. The roam towards the mid lane, actually. Perkz taking a lot of damage on himself. Flash, but it's a late flash. One more shot comes in, and it's Bjergsen who grabs first blood. Now the repeat gank, though, as Trick turns it right around, kills off the top laner.
Perkz did not expect Hanzo to be there. I think the call from Expect was most likely that Hanzo just gone back to base. He's just going to return to the top lane. Very early roam, of course, with the miasma here from Bjergsen to try and keep Perkz from flashing, and then you can land the knockup and keep him CC'd in place.
And it was such a good roam from Hanser because he had pushed out the wave, he hadn't gone back to base, and he's not really losing much because he still has his teleport available. So really intelligent move to actually get down there and get that first blood onto Bjergsen.
See the play once again. Knockup missing though from Hanser. That is huge. Perkz.
Still a bit of a late flash. Like, he was off the miasma and came late, but still a nice kill, of course, for Trick.
I think when you see a mid laner just die to that like very last auto attack, it's sometimes it's a little bit hard to fold him for like not flashing, because it's like he probably felt like, okay, I can survive here.
Yeah.
It's like it's so close for when it comes to him surviving. I think Hanzo though needs to land that knockup.
Yeah, and I think as soon as Perkz saw the knockup miss, he thought he could get out with just his heal, right?
Yeah.
Blow that summoner spell, get the movement speed, just walk out of there. But Cassio has a massive amount of damage actually early on. You are limited very heavily by your mana pool, but if you actually land your poison, you can get a lot done.
Definitely can, and Hanzo looking to get some more done on the top side, but traded right back, and you can see the Boomerang plus Hyper doing plenty there himself. Doublelift might get himself a safe recall, and will indeed do so. Gonna match with the Zerker Greaves as Sven and get a BF sword for the Tristana.
We had 2 flashes used by G2, Trick and Perkz, obviously on the side of TSM. They saved everything, didn't have to use it for the gank top or the gank mid lane while they picked up that first blood. So we gotta see if Svenskeren or maybe Hanzo can actually look for something else. If you are Kha'Zix though, you tend to be very happy just farming to level 6 and then joining your team.
But, I mean, that being said, Trick is actually very ahead as far as the experience. He's essentially a full level up. He's actually closing in on level 6 here.
Yeah, he's going to get it.
I did believe. So already level 6 to level 4 of Sven.
Massive difference.
Yeah, he's really got a lot of farming done, plus being able to pick up that gold from the kill himself. Like, this Gragas is at a very strong point, and he can look to make a play with this ultimate, hopefully before Sven can actually get to that point himself.
Difficulty is a summoner spell deficit. Bjergsen has both of his, and Perkz has none to follow, but he's looking at that side of the map. Gonna kill away this control ward. But still, G2 sitting on a nice 200 to 300 gold lead. Is pretty comfortable off Trick's farming.
TSM though, they're very ready for either the gank mid or the roam mid from Mithy. They had like 2 blue wards being placed on the minimap just above the little walls here near the river, as you guys can see. Making sure they can see any sort of like gank setup or a move from the base if you are Mithy. Because we see a lot of supports in North America go base straight to mid lane and then look for one of these plays.
Now, one place I would actually like to see Trick give that attention is over to the top side, because, like I said, yes, you can actually go aggressively and trade onto the Gnar, but you have to use your escape ability to do that and expect they get taken down.
One more auto. Can you get into range? Expect.
The Q is going to be coming back up.
Gets some nicely done by Hanser. Solo kill in the top lane.
And due to these wards around the mid lane, TSM, they saw Trick, and that's why Hanser can just go all in up in the top lane here. Expect ends up dying. Good solo kill from Hanser, and it all comes down to the control around mid, where they know exactly where Trick is on the map.
Yeah, and I mean, this matchup is very similar to the Aurelia matchup, where this melee character must play super aggressive to actually get an advantage against the Gnar. So I feel like it's something that you want to play around as a jungler, even if it's just getting vision,
huge damage.
Safe, but Perk's in trouble.
He's gone, he's gone, he's gone. Nicely done by Bjergsen. Ults just for the slow at the end of it all. Well played solo kill in the mid lane, thanks to the earlier gank from Hanser.
And not even a summoner spell needed from Bjergsen there, so he still has both those summoners available. He's going to be getting some damage down onto this turret, and TSM looking very good already.
So many small things just working out here for TSM. You know, the gank from Hanser earlier, and then spotting the Gragas, so he gets a solo kill top with the Jarvan. Bjergsen go aggressive in the mid lane, also knowing the Trick is no longer here. So a lot of good early vision around mid, and just good individual plays. And that, it was one of the things you said about G2, you know, like, it's hard to just say, oh, it's, you know, your warding or it's your pick and ban phase. Like, some of it is just the players not performing at the level we maybe expected him to perform at.
And at the end of the day, at the highest levels, when you are playing, you know, top teams internationally, you need to have everything. It's not just a good pick and ban. It's not just good vision. You need the total package, because you're going up against opponents who are going to be providing all of those and sometimes more.
Let's see what they can do for the next one. Only 1,000 gold still separates these teams. It is certainly within reach, but G2 have certainly not had the best tournament. The scorelines show it. It's been the opposite of what TSM's done.
And
4-1.
Part of the concern is just that you're going up against a team that has an immense amount of scaling, you know, with the Tristana and with the Cassiopeia. So it's not always just shown in the gold lead. I feel like as you go late, it can be disadvantageous.
And that's kind of a problem for Perks now, because he's 0-2, and his team is kind of looking at him and saying, well, we need you with the Talia wall to start making a play either top lane or bot lane, obviously group up with Trick. And that's kind of how you start the snowball. That's why they pick Kalista as well for the bottom lane. You're not picking Kalista for the insane late game DPS. You know, you want them to play around that lane as well. So we need Perks to get out of the lane. That's just very hard when you're losing, because you're going to get pushed under your tower.
And now they're going to be able to look to set up on the top side.
Jump on forward, plenty of damage on to expect just here. Half HP, stealth up for a bit more, but there's no real dive to be had, but it still will deny that wave under the turret. So it means something. For a trade of top lane pressure, it will be Cloud Drake. It's often the least prioritized, so no surprise TSM would rather play for a turret gold instead of this one, but with the Ren stacked up, it should be no problem. We'll see how much time TSM puts top side, though, as Sven would rather take away Krugs and hit this turret for now.
I think you're just maximizing farm here as TSM. You know this tower will fall eventually. Just get a bit of damage on it now and deny the entire wave from Expect, because Kha'Zix is still here, but Perks is warming up.
He puts him back in, the flash is down. There's no way out. He's going to fall. And Perks certainly not here in time. The Weaver's Wall there.
They're gone too, though, so this could be a bit tricky for TSM.
If he can get far enough away, the flash to re-engage for a bit more. Looking to make it happen, and no, Perks will knock down Hanser, forcing Svenskar out as well. Nicely done. Pick that up.
Yeah, good roam for Perks. Gets out of the mid lane. Bjergsen, though, going aggressive on a Trick here.
Flash for the slow, flash for a bit more, and yes, Bjergsen cannot kill anyone except all of G2.
Oh, that feels so bad for Perks when your jungler is trying to hold the wave of the mid lane turret. Not only does he die, I think he got the blue buff off of Trick there too, or
probably
perhaps it was his own still.
No, it was
his own still.
He got the kill. That's all that matters right now for Bjergsen. Perks actually did the only thing he could really do there, try and save his top laner and get that one kill in return. Bottom lane is just the two melee supports kind of poking each other, not really doing a whole lot of damage. Yep. G2 eSports, that's an important ulti going now with the Talia. They might actually try and all in.
I mean, there's some pressure on this bot lane to make something happen, because they're losing on the rest of the map.
They are.
TSM is happy to just farm.
Yeah, exactly. Sven does have a small farm lead, so hey, props to them. They picked themselves a good matchup after they saw the Braum and the Trist, and they've got some farm, but the rest of this map, exactly, hemorrhaging gold.
So Perks was already in position, waiting for this to happen, just in case Svenskar was waiting around, and due to the minions being gone, there's not really a way out here for Hanser, and
he flashed to realign the Q, that's what it was.
And also Svenskar actually goes back and trying to block some damage for his top laner, just not enough. Meanwhile, mid though, Trick, once you place the barrel, I think you just have to leave, but he actually ends up saying, oh, he goes in. Well, he's not even hitting you.
He thought he was going to be attacked. He was trying to predict the timing of it and CC him during the play, but obviously that was wrong. And now into the mid lane they go, and Perks, he is out of summoners, but it gets a knockback on his Sven to buy some time, and now in comes Mithy, bringing a team with him as well. Explosive Blast not quite going to land on a Bjergsen, though. That was nearly a kill given over.
Yeah, they are able to get out, though. Bjergsen didn't have those summoners because he did blow them to kill Trick off earlier, so Perkz does get out. Sven looking for Trick, though, and that's an easy duel to win for the Kazakhs if they can get him in isolation.
And once again, we're in that situation where TSM win the trades, and now they also get all the summoners away from Perkz and Trick, so they're not really a threat, you know, against Bjergsen. He's level 10 as well on this Cassiopeia. Rod of Age is already completed with the tier, so nice and early. You start scaling up, soon level 11. And really, nothing G2 can do to kill him now. They need these summoners back up and then try and all-in him maybe. Or you're trying to, again, just go away from him. You're like, yeah, you control the mid lane.
Yeah.
They need something bot lane, the top lane.
Well, here is something that they are going to be looking for, moving their bot lane top, trying to pull off a lane swap. We'll see if they can actually, you know, preempt this play enough faster than TSM that they could get the first turret. That would be a way to start to move back into this game, because Doublelift is by himself now, but Biofrost is rotating up to the top lane to perhaps look to defend this.
See where they can defend. 1,500 gold deficits, what TSM has put over on a G2 now. The Europeans forcing themselves back on from it. Top lane siege going to take quite some time, though. This Jarvan reasonably tanky and going to wave clear a little bit, few of these minions.
And we've seen this 2 games in a row now. Their North American answer to the lane swap from the European teams is just your support instantly starts roaming to top lane, and you keep the AD carry bot lane. So the AD carry gets a push all the way into the turret, might even take it down if no one shows up. And then now the enemy top laner is sharing experience with his AD carry and support. And that simply means now for G2 eSports, they can't actually kill the tower.
Yeah.
And now they just have to back away, and they lose that massive wave bot lane. At least for the top laner, Trick has to pick it up.
I've seen this exact thing before. It's the Gragas walks down to bot lane, and like Young takes away his jungle.
Yeah, this is P1 versus Unicorns a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if that turns around soon enough right here, but waiting around as the Gragas are walking back up the river, and Tristana going back down as well as they fight over ward control a bit longer. Doublelift, if he's not stopped, will knock down that turret with one more wave. Get the control ward first.
It's actually quite a lot of vision out here from both sides. I mean, TSM has a really good kind of line of scrimmage with the pink wards up along the river on both top and bot. So they are pretty safe from these sorts of plays. You know, if Perkz wants to kind of roam into the river and make those moves, it's much harder to do so without getting caught.
Lane back down. They haven't lost the turret just yet. The damage itself doesn't mean terribly much. It's that if the turret actually falls, the gold goes over. See if G2 can get control again.
Small opening for G2 with TP on expect, but he's sitting, of course, in mini now at the moment. But they're trying to make a play bottom side. They know that Hunter can't join. Perkz is on his way. So Perkz is actually sacrificing some minions, or at least trying to sacrifice some of the pressure in mid lane. And he's saying, you know, Bjergsen, you can get to push all the way into tower.
They got 20 seconds.
Looking for Bjergsen.
Flanking in the mid. Bjergsen pops the ghost, gets on the other side of the wall, though, and Perkz now gonna hope he can get back into this one. Bjergsen slowed again. Gonna be a quick slowing barrel as well. Bjergsen not gonna be able to flash away. Gets knocked right back into the team, and the kill is gonna come through. Shut down goes into Sven. As he looked down at Biofrost, who's gonna knock them right back away. Flashes over the other side of the satchel.
Really nice play there from G2. They know they have to be proactive, and utilizing the Tahm Kench ultimate there while Bjergsen still does not have his flash. Bjergsen did about as well as he could to try to get out, but the kill also goes on to Sven.
Yeah.
We really want to get going.
Super important for them. Let's see what happens bottom lane, because Trick is still around.
Here, though. They're actually getting baited. TV's coming in. These guys are dead.
Top of a ward, 2v4. Can they find Sven for some damage? Rocket jump in to buy a bit more. Can it be enough? They're getting him low, but it's not going to be that yet. Doublelift now slowed down, flash to the wall. He'll maybe stay alive, but look at Biofrost. Doesn't have anywhere to go, and the chase comes in, actually. The Witching Tristana goes down, a double kill on the bot side. Well played to G2. Hansard going to get the consolation prize of first turret top.
With Trick going down there a second time, clearly TSM's bot lane did not expect that, and then instantly the TP coming in from Narn. Suddenly, more kills here for Sven. 2-0-1 on this Kalista. Can go back, get his blade. Tower is still fairly healthy on the bottom side, and right now TSM got top lane tower, will take Rift Held as well, but G2 eSports will get an Infernal Drake.
Yeah, and a nice couple of plays for them. They're right back into it. I mean, still down a little bit, and it depends how much the Rift Herald is going to get out, but you know, TSM did not realize there was actually a ward in the deep rush, so I think they walked through that, and G2's able to make the play, utilizing that for the TP, and also the information. As, yeah, they've just walked right past this little ward, sneaking in. They were spotted out, did not sweep it out at all.
And look at this play right here, just playing completely coy.
Yeah, all those wards you talked about earlier from TSM, they're gone right now. So they didn't actually see Trick walk down the river, and then the TP from base, and yeah, you're not getting out.
Doublelift actually did a really good job utilizing his W on top of that explosive shot to reset it. So I believe you got a double
if
dump
you
there.
explode a four stack with an auto attack, it resets your W for you. So he auto attacked 4 times. The ult gives you a stack as well. and then he was able to rocket jump back over to the wall, but Zen was able to chase, obviously.
So once again for G2 Esports, 2 kills on Kalista. It is Operation Defend Sven, put all the eggs in the Sven basket, try and make sure...
We've heard this story before.
Yeah, I think we've heard it before. It works sometimes. They did get the 1-1 versus TSM at MSI, trying to play that style. Sven is the man we're looking at. Mid lane, though, this tower is not going to survive. Rift Hell is there. We'll just secure the one objective for TSM.
And it means the 3,000 gold lead to TSM, but keep in mind the Drakes do matter a bit. The Infernal, the Cloud both certainly are worth some of their own weight in gold, and maybe G2 can find something back into this game as they continue to wait to scale up. Sven's got 2 kills. He is doing pretty nicely. Individually, he's actually ahead of Doublelift in gold, so maybe we can see this Kalista take off in the game if he is not assassinated at the start.
Of course, there is a lot of frontline on G2 to protect him. You know, you have both Nara and Gragas sitting there, and you have Mythi sitting probably next to Sven with the Devourer in case TSM is onto him. And that is, I mean, one of the only problems for Cassiopeia is in teamfights against frontline tanks, you're kind of forced to often hit the front line. You can't really just flash past him and start killing the back line. Luckily for TSM, Bjergsen has a lot of damage, so that means killing the tanks is a little bit faster.
And itemization is actually pretty difficult because it's a Tristana and a Cassio, right? So 2 extremely high damage characters that can hit the front line. If both of these guys are hitting the front line, do you build MR? Do you build armor? I mean, right now, some armor is being picked up by Trick and Expect. There's no MR to be seen.
It's not even health. It's double ninja tabbing and a frozen art coming through here. So it's certainly going to be a long road ahead until they can actually survive Bjergsen. If he's untouched, and this 3-kill Cassiopeia certainly has damage.
And that's what so many of the fights are going to be about. I mean, G2 has a plethora of CC, but they need to be able to land the CC on the right people to pull off their team composition.
See if they can execute properly. G2 going to fight for ward control a little bit longer here and hope they can find their next opening. Fighting back from 3,000 gold, but up those 2 Drakes. Going to find some CC. Sven going to get knocked right back into the team. Get the tongue lash as well. Looking for more damage than a Trick, who's been grounded. Here comes the re-engage. Haunter shows up, and Bjergsen gets that kill. And how squishy is that Gragas against magic damage?
Well, when you're already behind here, then...
and the other 5 guys, but
but still.
You know, 3K down, whatever it is. Trick, why didn't you tank all of it? But I'm actually surprised Trick even went for that one. You know, there's no one around to really help him other than just Mythi standing a little bit to his right, and all of TSM were just walking straight into that jungle. So as soon as you see Svenskeren, he's really not the guy you're trying to like kill. And yes, of course, Svenskeren in the past have maybe done some of these solo invades, but at this point here, I think you should assume that his team is near.
The real lesson is never trust your teammates. You know, too much faith in Mythi.
I mean, Trick right there definitely didn't have to jump in, but at bot lane, guys.
The minions are already cleared out, though. This could be tough to pull off.
Expected half a nice double CC there. Haunter does not have an open. He does have flash to use and just gets to walk away from the 1v3. Durable enough.
Very well played. Haunter clears out the mini wave, then goes back through the turret to escape, and Sven is here to harass now.
It's slow. And out he goes. Cutting off his teammates.
Yeah, Expect can't get
doesn't
out
drop
now.
the wall.
But Sven is farming top lane. Everyone else from TSM actually just kind of reset the whole thing. Hanzo was just left on his own, but didn't even have to use the summoner. So he is more than fine in the bottom lane. And G2 Esports, after losing that jungler, we're actually looking okay before that. We were kind of waiting for that next big fight where maybe Trick will be the man to start it. Getting an engage onto someone like Bjergsen. Flash body slam is very effective against the Cassiopeia.
Cassio can start to kind of get a little bit deceptively tanky once you actually have your Seraphs completed, plus the Roa, you know, in the early stages
she's
of the
just
game.
very annoying when she's fed. That's kind of the thing, because when you then run at her and you're yelling, let's go, let's kill her, you get ultied, and then suddenly you're stuck there and you can't actually do anything.
And if she can stay in the fight, she actually gets quite a bit of healing out from the Twin Fang spam, so can become a little bit deceptively tanky in the early stages.
They can. Still some nice kiting back and forth by Perks, because Sven very, very low on health, who hasn't been building damage output himself, so nice little plays from him. Of course, Haunting guys, no big surprise there out of Perks, the flat pen, the pretty standard build. Hurricane just now completed for Sven, so he just gained some team fight power, and he is again ahead of the curve against Doublelift.
Kind of hit that point now where the outer turrets are gone, so TSM don't have like an easy objective to go for. A Baron just spawned a minute ago, and it's very early to still take it. So we often in these mid games and get like the 5-6 minutes where not a whole lot is happening. The team far ahead tends to get a free dragon, and the other team is just trying to farm up.
And I feel like for TSM, they're very happy to just kind of farm it out for now.
Sure.
As long as they can control vision around the Baron, continue to pick up some of these items. If G2 does ever slip up, show too many members bot, you have a Cassiopeia, a Kha'Zix, and a Tristana. 3 of the fastest champions for actually burning down the Baron, so that can go down exceptionally fast.
Ooh, Trick is waiting in double. Damn it. It's almost like he's been playing for 6 years. How did he expect Trick to sit there?
He learned from the Season 1 World Championship.
Looking.
Double lift famously face-checked the brush 1v5 before minion spawned on Lee Sin at the Season 1 World Championship.
On
Didn't do that here.
Remember? Or was it
He was Lee Sin.
He was Lee Sin, yeah.
I just said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't listen to half the stuff.
I don't blame you. I'm dumb a lot of the time.
I only listen to Azale.
But
he's got a good brain.
It's those
what did
times.
Freak just say to me? What would he just say?
I think he was saying you look great today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you,
I
Freak.
always lie.
Thank you, Freak.
No, I'm always wrong, as you said, so that must have been false.
I didn't say you were wrong. I said I didn't listen.
Yeah, whatever. Either way, TSM going to grab themselves their own drink. First of the game for the TSM squad. Looking to close it out, 3,500 ahead. If they win, they will represent North America against Unicorns of Love tomorrow. TSM have been the preeminent NA team for basically ever, and almost only fitting that NA's hopes then rest on them at the end of it. If they can close out. Onser looking to find someone to kill. Damage onto Mithy. Of course, can't go for Perks too easily because he just get eaten away. And now with Mithy gone, Perks is left up and alone. Down he goes in the mid lane.
Quick pick here for TSM, just walking straight into that jungle, knowing they had all the vision they needed. Perks didn't even get to use a summoner. Rest of TSM looking at that mid lane tower, still feeling it's too early for him to just rush down the Baron. Mithy's pretty low, he has to be careful. No summoners either.
And I mean, Tristana's going to knock this down very quickly, so G2 backing off for now. Expect is actually going to stay in the bot lane, so they're going to trade this turret, but TSM can continue going and look to threaten the inhibitor.
G2 looking at maybe their first turret of the game with his Expect split push, but now the jump onto Trick, nice body slam buys some time, but breaks through the shield, still damage coming through for double if this turret low on health, and it's gonna fall and hit for bot lane outer. Certainly more worthwhile for TSM, G2 making the best of a significant deficit.
Yeah, super nice here for TSM though, because we had the moment where they were actually kind of waiting to be strong enough to just force a Baron play, and then they actually get a kill plus turret, so now that mid lane is open. A very nice play overall, and they are all backing away.
I think it's a really smart force from TSM. I mean, with Perks down, that's a lot of safe ways
Oh,
there, and
Perks.
Perks just died again.
Found a kill. 3-man invade worked out on the top side of the map, and now G2's got to run away.
And I don't know if TSM saw that TP, but the TP was used by Expect and canceled, so that is actually very big. If TSM did have vision of that teleport coming in, they will know that if Gnar shows bottom, they can go to Baron.
Seems like Perks was walking into his own jungle near that Raptor camp. Didn't expect anyone from TSM to be waiting. There you go, no vision. Then you die.
Good old bush camp.
Then you die.
Fnatic lives on. They said in regards to something, who knows what, but we got TSM at 5,000 gold here, and worth noting the TP cooldowns are almost identical now, as Hansred used his a while ago for the full cooldown. They're about 15 seconds desynced. I expect gets his slightly earlier. That might keep TSM from making any big plays because they actually don't have TP advantage. It's only an equal teleport.
Yeah, but for now, they're happy to keep playing this farm game, control vision around the Baron, play it slow. It's G2 that must make the proactive plays. It's G2 that has to have these great engages, and as long as TSM maintains vision control, does not play risky, continues to farm, they're going to get themselves to a stage where they have a heavy advantage in the team fights.
And also we are at the stage of the game where I feel like G2 during this tournament has actually looked the worst. It's always been like somewhat decent early game, and then full late game they've been able to do quite a lot of things, but between like 20 minutes and 30-35 minutes they've really just dropped the ball multiple times. This game is obviously super hard because you're already far down, but it doesn't put a lot of confidence in them, you know, making that proactive play that gets them right back in the game. At the moment we're just kind of waiting for TSM to get that Baron
now.
And they're going to get, they're baiting with two guys on the top side.
Dueling just buying time. You're going to do all the damage they need. Sven helping as well. Hans to make sure he tanks the aggro. Wall coming in. Actually, Trick's nearby. Can he make the play? They re-engage on the jungler. He flashes. He gets it! Trick is a mastermind to get something to happen, but now it's all about the team fight. TSM look for resets, look for some damage. 4v5, but with the Baron buff on G2, they might have bought some time.
Trick again, flashback to MSI. The Baron still to keep them alive, but TSM is pushing.
Forcing a couple more flashes out as Sven flashes away, but if you could trade just one kill for that, the flash and chase not going to get the Mega Gnar. This could be expected dying.
Turn on him.
You expect it to happen, and it's going to come through. The damage coming across, and it will be that one coming in. The rest of the team able to kite away. Perks looking for some damage on the wings. Will find it.
I can't believe Trick actually got in there. He got stunned and then knocked up right after. He managed to flash in the very last second and actually steal the Baron.
They didn't stop damage.
Small win, I guess, for G2, but TSM still getting a kill after on Expect and a top lane tower.
I think they simply thought
the 1v1.
CC was going to be enough.
Chomp. 1v2.
Damage output. Oh, can he throw him back in? Do it. Flashes away by some time. Healing. Bjergsen gets about 60 health per shot. Doubles in. There's one kill picked up. And he didn't get an assist, so there's no reset of the rocket jump, and he can't find Sven. Sven can, though. Sven on Sven crime. Who's going to win? The Dane. See, I'm right.
You're right. You nailed it.
I know they're both Danish. It was a joke. I know my NA junglers well.
That's true. Most of the EU imports in NA actually seem to be Danish right now.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. Trick stunned by Bjergsen, knock up, and then he still gets to flash in at like 500 HP. He flashed in and got the smite.
Yeah, and Sven didn't actually get his
late smite
whatsoever, so you want to try to layer that isolated Q damage from your Q with that smite, try to finish it off. Wasn't able to do it, but that's the risk you make if you're not actually going to stop DPS, focus down the junglers. You're opting into this kind of coin flip smite off.
And also that tricky spot as a jungler where you're kind of trusting your team when they're saying, yeah, we're going to deny him entrance to the Baron pit.
Yep.
So you're just kind of waiting for the right moment to then smite it down, and then suddenly the Gragas still makes it in.
Yep. Well, unlucky there, and G2 get a bit of a reprieve. The gold back down below 3,000 apart.
We keep getting these small glimmers of hope right now, I feel, for G2 eSports. The Baron steal, that fight earlier where Sven got 2 kills. He got another kill, obviously, against Sven Skaren just before. Honsor is sitting here waiting for someone to show up.
I mean, the Baron is so big. It's not necessarily that G2 are going to be able to get a ton off of it. It's more that TSM likely is far enough ahead that they could have closed this game, perhaps, with it.
Goes to the big dunk, trick around the wings, and Mithy going to spit him right back out, but he's running out of ways to do anything. Explosive Cask, and actually Bjergsen knocked right back over by Perkz. They're stuck in this one. A nice seismic shove, a lot of damage. Cassiopeia down below 1,000 health.
Well, there's no good ward here to TP on for Expect. He was sitting with Meganar in that side lane, but just no decent ward. There's 2 up near the Raptor camps, but a little bit too far away, I think. Meganar most likely would have timed out.
Still some nice pressure from Expect. He's going to be able to get up to this tier 2, maybe get a little bit of damage done. The bot lane's being pushed up here by G2 as well. So G2, getting a bit of map control, getting some nice vision down in the TSM red side jungle, and making some of kind of the first steps towards coming back.
And here we go, Cloud Drake being soloed up by Trick. This man is so good at killing epic monsters this game. Mithy coming in for some help as well, and says it's going to be a team effort this time around.
And it's fun because the European teams have gotten very few Drakes, something we've talked quite a lot about here at this tournament. The only team actually getting a lot of them would be G2 Esports. Most of the time they actually get almost every single one in some of these games. And the same thing here.
At a 5 Drake game earlier this week.
And the Dragons were actually very key to their victory in that game because they had essentially been outscaled by C9, but the fact that they had 5 dragons, they get the Elder Dragon, now you cannot contest them. They use that to get a Baron, which they use to get 2 inhibitors. So the Dragons, especially if you're going to be going late, as we have often seen in a lot of these Rift Rivals games, are so massive because it gives you the extra win condition of the Elder.
Sadly, no Blitzcrank this time for Mithy. He was the one making some of the plays on Sneaky that set up the entire thing this time around. He's on a more defensive choice, kind of relying on Sven and Perkz to be the big carries, but Sven is still the man we're looking at here, while Perkz actually been dealing some decent damage in some of these fights despite being down. Like, again, a Cassiopeia and so on, it is hard because there's so many things on the ground that can actually deal damage to you. Bjergsen really needs to maneuver well in the fights.
This game is definitely within arm's reach. Goal difference only 3,000 right now, and they're also up a couple of Drakes as a result of some of their mid-game plays, so see if G2 can make it happen.
Oh, they're going in?
Find a little bit there. Trick not going to go too hard just yet. Still has Explosive Cask available. Biofrost shield now down, means he can get a better shot at it. Going to look for the body slam. There's the flash. There's a pickup. They're going to find Biofrost for 1. Now the re-engage.
Trouble though.
Using damage from double up the dunk onto the back line. A big miasma out in the backside as well. Expect running out of health. A couple more shots will do it. The rock jump forward. Bjergsen gets a kill. And in goes double, but he's got to watch out because that minefield just decimated. Ugh, there we go. His health bar. Got to be careful.
And there was no more minions, so not really much he can get done with that second jump forward, but they have traded kills. Top laner for support, advantageous for TSM, and they're looking to knock down this turret. Double if will take it down pretty fast.
It's pretty close on that one. Not quite going to kill it, but it's dangerously low.
So that fight here actually was pretty even. G2 Esports getting 1 kill, Expect and dying after. Bjergsen was left completely untouched. I think the wall before the fight from Perkz was meant to kind of cut Bjergsen off, and maybe he was stuck on the wrong side where they could engage on him without the flash, but this wall right here, just on the wrong side, so Bjergsen and Double feeling safe enough.
It is still some very nice setup for Expect. With the Meganar, they feel like they can go in, look for a fight here, and they want to force it before Meganar expires. Otherwise, they are going to get sieged down. They're not going to be able to look the fight, so they go for the play, able to take down Biofrost very quickly, but look at the damage coming out on the front line.
Exactly, because now Bjergsen and Double, they're feeling pretty safe. All Bjergsen had to dodge was that one Kalista ulti with just a time Kench being thrown her way. Double as well was so confident he actually jumped all the way in and almost died because of it. But if you see G2 Esports use their tanks on trying to get to Biofrost in some of the next fights, well, then G2 Esports will lose the fights. They have to try and get on to Bjergsen or Doublelift, and the easiest one is probably Bjergsen, obviously without a jump on his own.
Sure, and his Ghost is down for a few more seconds, or I should say a few more minutes. He used it in that fight before. Does have the flash. We'll see how it goes. I want to shout out Perks doing a ton of damage in the last fight, and shout out Sven for a flash just before Miasma landed, because he would have died for sure if he didn't flash right before Bjergsen's W lands.
I also want to point out the fact that the Gargoyle Stoneblade is actually done for Hanser now. That is such an important item on the Jarvan because it turns you more from like this duelist into this one item allows you to be so effective in team fights. Because of the amp on your W shield, it makes that so much larger. And it works so well with J4 because you can utilize all your damage, immediately pop it, then your damage cooldowns are coming back up as it's expiring.
It's just the best team player item in the game for a tank.
Yeah.
Not about your damage anymore, but instead staying alive while your backline is killing their front line. You don't die as fast. So this wall was used by Perks right now to block off near the Baron. TSM is actually on the other side of it.
They're going straight onto the Baron now. The wall is expiring. G2 does have ultimates.
Bjergsen taking the Baron, healing right back up, though. Trick on the other side of the wall. They got to be careful about that one. More damage coming out from Perks. Sven Skarin at about 2/3 HP. And Hanser chunked down as well, actually.
Yeah, that play was not very good from TSM because they completely abandoned the mid lane wave here. Mark Z is sitting at home being super mad because you gotta get that mid lane push first. They just went straight for Baron, and obviously G2's walking right in the river and being like, no, you're not gonna kill this.
The Echo Fox analysts, on the other hand, have seen nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's like, nice great play, TSM.
Unlucky G2 just played a little bit better than them. Weird. Don't know how it happened, but they managed to walk in. Mid lane collect. And, oh, wow! G2 pushed the wave first, walked to Baron.
Exactly.
I've never seen this before.
TSM
Don't say it's because of Castanet. That would be rude.
TSM just lost a little bit of vision there, but still, in the goal lead. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say here, so I just say in the goal lead.
In the goal lead.
A good point, Deficio.
Just some caster tips here. Yeah,
I took your point away.
They're pushing minions, and Hanser's pushing minions. And
well, TSM has to get control of the side lanes because G2 did actually have bot lane pushing during that whole sequence, and they have started a slow push that's stacking up very heavily on the top side. So G2 is having some good side lane control, allowing them to kind of reestablish themselves on the map. Someone's going to have to go top and answer that for TSM, and the game has stalled out quite a bit to where I don't feel like the gold lead really matters much at all when you take the Infernal Dragon into account. But it does come down to scaling. It does come down to who can utilize their team fight better.
Yeah, just looking at the carries and the gold, the 280 carries are even in terms of the overall gold. It's just about 14,000. It is Bjergsen being 2,000 gold ahead of Perks. That is kind of the big difference if we look at just those guys. And really impressive that actually G2 Esports have been able to kind of stay in the game after it looked so bad early. And also TSM not being able to get that second Baron set up properly has cost them a little bit of time, and some fairly even fights actually going just 1-for-1.
Guardian Angel done now for Hanser is going to be pretty important, I do think. Elder Dragon coming up in 10 seconds as well means now there's 2 objectives to play for. Now G2 their Elder Dragon's twice as good, so maybe they actually put more priority on that one, but TSM going to rush down the Baron first.
So Blue Trinket just used on the Baron here. They do see the fact that 2 guys are sitting on it. Perks with another wall to just try and deny TSM either an exit or an entrance.
Yeah, they're over by the Elder, so this is something that they would really like to get, but they have to be wary
rush mid.
Of TSM pushing up mid. Yeah, that inhibitor is exposed.
That little dodge there from Bjergsen was very important. Could have been a lot of damage landed from Perks while he was sitting there out of vision. TSM, though, they're going straight back into Baron.
I'm not sure if G2 minds the trade on that. They're still losing by a little bit here. And again, it's a 4-stack Elder Dragon. It does last 1 minute less time, but as long as they don't have to get outplayed around that last minute right there, it's going to be a quick pickup for TSM. They've got the Baron buff, and let's see where they can go next.
And now TSM actually has to play a bit defensive for a while. You don't really want to fight heavily into this Elder Dragon. You have the extra time on that buff, but I think it would be pretty risky for them to actually get out on the map and look for a fight.
Well, they're actually trying to set up a little trap here, and they're using their mid lane wave and top lane wave to go for the turret. Remember, no fast recalls from G2 side. See, they're sitting bot lane waiting for someone to show up, but they're all sitting top lane.
Oh, this could really work out for TSM, though. They have more members here, and they're by the base. If G2 comes forward, they can get a pick and take a free inhibitor.
If Bjergsen goes, he has a chance of reaching him and landing a miasma slow.
Someone needs to face check.
Hanser's waiting by himself, and at this point, G2 needs to realize that no one is shown on the map at all. There's no buffed up minions as well, so no one's near these lanes. And just the way pushing in. They both try to be cheeky.
Yeah. They were hoping maybe Hanser would show up bot lane with his TP and just push the wave out. They could have killed him, but G2 Esports, they're still pushing up mid now, and TSM are still hiding.
I mean, TSM staying around here is very risky. Sure, if you can get a great jump on the fight and take someone out immediately.
Now they know.
Oh, he didn't find anything.
That can work out for you.
Now they know.
it's one of those situations where G2 has so much more power during this Elder Dragon buff. You really have to show the respect to that.
I totally agree they're better fighters, but if TSM are just buying time back and forth, they've just timed out literally half the Elder Dragon buff.
Yep.
They got 115 to go till it's gone.
Gotta wait, honestly. Trick with flash ready. Gragas late game engage is one of the things G2 are looking at, because they need to find a way to obviously get onto Bjergsen. I was sitting with 6 kills on this Cassiopeia, full items, or almost full items. I looked at control wards, but I obviously consider control ward as valuable as like a void staff. Of
course they
so
are.
technically full items.
There you go.
In my control ward book.
Something I would have liked to see from Haunter is actually a Locket coming out. You know, when this team essentially has to make a play, has to CC you down, burst you out, Locket in combination with the Stoneplate is so powerful, actually, being able to deny that and keep your carry safe, because if Bjergsen and Doublelift can stay alive at this point, with the amount of items they have complete, they will crush the fight. You just have to deny the burst. So I think it's more important to itemize for defending your team through Knight's Vow or a Locket than it is to you have this additional power.
Well, at least Balfrost is getting, he's got his Locket and he's going Knight's Vow, but even with one Locket already, I agree. Second Locket is still fine. It's still useful. You can block out some of that burst.
Especially in combination with Stoneplate. It's so good.
It's actually huge. So not going to be the play just yet, though. And at about 50 seconds on the Baron buff, Elder Dragon will time out.
And it's also worth noting how effective double Knight's Vow can actually be with a composition like this, where you have both the Cassio and this Tristana to actually buff up and protect. I mean, it's super effective on both those champions. But TSM looking to push up here as that Elder is going to be starting to expire.
And it's gone. So here comes the siege. These 45 seconds they've got time for. Trick going to go for the knock and not quite going to find Bjergsen, but now walled off. And it's Trick actually stuck against the wall himself. Finally gets away with the body slam. 5v5 continues. 40 seconds left on the Baron buff.
Yeah, I don't think Perkz was actually in a position ready to have some follow-up CC against Bjergsen here. So it was just Trick diving in, and Bjergsen could flash away. So he's still sitting on about 40% HP. No flash, though. Obviously the same for Trick.
Yeah. And it's lock it down as well. So TSM have one wave left of Baron. And in fact, they're just going to recall. So the trade of objectives only means that now there's desynced respawns.
And it has been feeling like G2's front line is playing this very intelligently. They're not over diving. They're allowing Perkz to kind of utilize some of his range advantage over Bjergsen. So as Bjergsen steps forward to try to attack, expect, and trick, Perkz is there to push him back. And I think they're playing the push and pull of those fights very well.
We just have to look at the Bjergsen, though, if he does get knocked back again. Because as you said earlier in the game, Azil, like, this Cassiopeia gets somewhat tanky without you thinking about it, because again, her own shield from the Ceres, also Face of the Mountain from Biofrost. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a situation where Bjergsen does get knocked back into the team, but he just sits there, gets multiple shields on him, and G2 eSports, because they have an AD carry that is built around getting multiple auto attacks off and not like a burst AD carry, might not be able to kill him in time.
And Braum can jump in front and block a lot of that up with his shield, you know, absorb a lot of those attacks. So certainly have to be wary of the counter engage coming in from TSM, but G2 does need to make that sort of play. They need to be able to pull it off, execute, and burst someone down before TSM can really get going with their carries in these fights.
To be fair, though, Sven actually went for what I think is the right build in this game, which is a very crit-focused build. It's not 7 lifesteal items. It's 80% crit with Infinity Edge. So he's going to just belt out insane damage in the team fights because he has Hurricane and Doublelift has double Energizer. Sven actually can do more damage if he's allowed to auto-attack. If he's under threat, of course, he's shorter range, and that's going to get worse. But 40% damage to the secondary targets of Hanser and Sven and Biofrost is going to be more than Tristal Deal.
Trick is actually sitting behind enemy lines, but he is spotted on a good ward here from Biofrost, so they know exactly where he is. G2 is now trying to defend the top lane.
Doublelift is going to do so much damage to this turret, but will G2 engage here? Expect about to go Mega.
Ooh,
oh, nice buster shot.
Insanely good buster shot there away from this one. They're still waiting to kite back and forth, hiding behind Biofrost's shield. Wall falls.
Because they're really trying to set up Expect to just smack everyone into that wall being built by Perkz. Bjergsen once again was on the other side, and he's the man without flash. You have the flash engage from a Nard to maybe get onto him, but now it's without the Mega Nard.
It's going to fall, okay, but that's at least explosive charge down.
That was such a big moment for
Trick's
G2.
looking.
Ooh, he's going to find a little bit there. Rocket jump away. Double's going to stay safe for now, but that's Guardian Angel popped off a Hanser. Here comes the re-engage in this one. Is he tanky enough? Rock jumps right back out. Perkz still waiting on the wings. Looking to chase down on Hanser. Perkz. Whew. Not going to find one just yet, but a great knockback. Nearly takes down Svenskarn.
Yeah, Perkz did such a good job dancing on the side. They're pushing back Doublelift, pushing back the carries, really utilizing this Taliyah extremely well, but a lot of low health bars on both sides. G2 will be able to go back to base and heal back up, so they hold on again.
They do. 1 minute on Baron right now. Expect still sitting with the flash here. We are looking at that wall from Perkz. Get Bjergsen, you know, just cornered right there, and then maybe use the flash engage from Expect to get onto this Cassiopeia and see if you can actually kill her. Haunter without GA, though, he's also a target. He's the kind of lone frontman diving in from TSM, and he's just not tanky enough against the late game damage of G2.
Not just yet. Still going to wait for the items to come through. Of course, Hanser at full build. The Guardian Angel itself is not gold efficient when the unique passive is down. So theoretically, he might want to sell and rebuy between cooldowns if he has the money.
Yeah.
I believe GA sells for less than 70%, so it's expensive to do that, but would be the right choice. Maybe pick up a Locket, as you were mentioning earlier on.
Yeah, or that second Knight's Vow. I mean, Doublelift has it on him now. I think it's extremely effective to put it on Bjergsen, and actually makes you a lot tankier too because of all the healing coming in from the DPS.
Worth highlighting also Trick with their mastery here, giving him slightly less cooldown on his summoner spells, meaning his flash is actually ready just about now. We are still waiting for Bjergsen's flash, about 30 seconds. That is a window for G2. Trying to find the engagement. Is where TSM needs to be really careful.
Bjergsen's waiting.
Oh, he actually stepped forward right there.
We also have to remember, I mean, they can kill this over the wall now with Triss at level 18, the auto attack range, and it's going down very quickly. He is spotted out though.
And they're going to back out. Double's going to be a little bit careful. Now Rocket jumps over. He's going to stay safe.
But again, it's so scary for TSM. They should wait for Bjergsen's flash before they really look for the big fight.
Here we go, slow into Mythy. Trick still wants into the front. Perk's gonna find some damage and a power press, burning him down a little bit. Shield is on, 3,000 health left.
Really good miasma once again from Bjergsen to make sure there's no chance of like a body slam flash happening from Trick.
G2 has cut them out of the mid lane though. They had the mid lane priority. They're gonna be able to get at least one turret here. And nicely done by G2, maneuvering around this.
And the gold lead no longer matters at this point. Almost all these players are out full builds. G2, again, still up these two Drakes. They've got control of the map right now. They took down mid-tier 2.
And I think G2 deserves so much credit for actually navigating these fights and not allowing the Tristana and Cassiopeia to actually get in and look for the fights. But Bjergsen going forward now.
Gonna find some damage, and Mythy but ulted right back out by Sven. Another re-engage. They're gonna find Hanser. He's not long for the world. He's gonna go down to Explosive Cask. And he's staying alive a few more seconds. Jumps right back out. Actually staying alive. Hanser alive at the very end of it all. And now TSM forced to kite back low on HP. G2 pretty healthy. Svenskarn has to be careful of Sven, and out they go. Can't believe Hanser lived, but he did.
Such ridiculously close fights, but Mythy popping the ultimate there. Where are they going?
Lane.
They're actually going top to try to knock down another turret here. Will TSM try to respond?
Expect is sitting bot lane right now. We gotta remember, late game, the channel time on TP is important for these fights because you can kill a guy so quickly and then suddenly it might not matter that an R shows up behind. Always something to keep in mind. Bjergsen's flash is back up. Trick and Expect sitting with their flashes ready.
We're also getting to the point where AD carries may want to start thinking about selling their boots and buying that last item. And we'll see if Doublelift is going to pick up a PD and if we're going to see a Shiv or something like that, or even a Mercurial for Sven.
I'd go Essence Reaver, honestly. It's still going to give you 100% crit chance, but it's more attack damage. I mean, Tristana's going to attack speed cap with Rapid Fire on. You actually don't even want another Zeal item here in this build.
Sven's kind of staying around with only 50% HP.
Look at Perks. Look at that damage I put from him. He is actually smashing.
Yeah, a lot of it is how well he's positioning. He's utilizing the range. He's not allowing Bjergsen and Doublelift to actually get in range to utilize all the damage they have in their kits. I mean, if they can be in range and if they can get their DPS out, Doublelift and Bjergsen are so much stronger right now, but Perks is manipulating his positioning so well.
Spot by Bjergsen. They want to team fight this one. Hanser going to be found out in the front side. Can they find Perks? Not just yet. Look for the play. Not going to find it for Biofrost. Doublelift slowed down a bit by Expect. The dunk comes in for Hanser. Guardian Angel not there, but he's going to fall down. 1 for 0. They find Trick for a bit of damage. Don't play pop though. Svenskarn on the wings, pushed out by Perks. They can't quite kill up Trick, but it's so close to knocking him down. They jump over the wall. They knock down Trick. They're going to find Expect. He cannot survive this. The attack damage coming out from Doublelift, pushing him over the wall. The flash, the Megadar. He's black tied. Here comes Sven. QSS. The flash. Get him out of the way. And the explosive charge should be enough. Can they take down Expect? It's not yet enough damage, but look at the low health bars though. Doublelift should have some time. Rapid Fire up in 8 seconds, so doesn't want to re-engage for another 5 now, but the minute hit will fall.
And Perks is zoning him out of that. It is a 1 for 1.
Yeah.
TSM does take the inhibitor, but a very messy fight. It felt like TSM getting a little bit trigger happy, trying to force something, getting frustrated by G2 delaying them and delaying them again and again.
Yeah, a lot of guys couldn't actually join the fights in time. G2 eSports are going straight for Eldrick. They're trading it once again for the Baron.
And it will be the same trade as last time. TSM want to wait out 2.5 minutes and see which is the last minute themselves.
Do they have time to get over there? It doesn't look like TSM can actually do that at all.
But this call is now, if they actually do secure it, wow, they do have Kalista.
Hanser has TP and Trick doesn't. They can 5v4 if they really try hard enough. There, here goes. TP's cast.
G2 needs to just get out of there instantly. Hanzo's TPing in the mid lane with home guards.
Well, Cloud Drake's at work, though they have the power of 3 of them, so 75 out of combat movement speed, and there's just no catch to be had.
So this trade, while before it made a lot of sense for G2, this time around it's even better in my opinion, because I keep talking about flashes, but they are so key in these late game fights. Both carries on the side of TSM sitting without them. Trick sitting with his on this Gragas. You have Elder Drake. You should be able to force a fight with your Gragas and that buff helping you.
And here's the fight again, and this is what I'm talking about a little bit of desperation. I mean, Doublelift is not here for so long, and TSM is already fully committing to the fight. Svenskeren was chunked out very early, and you need to be fighting with the Tristana and the Cassio together.
We simply see in the end, Trick does go down to the poison, Expect gets the Mega Knock just in time, and Sven actually used his flash to try and get over and help him after. Very important that Expect did stay alive.
Yeah, Doublelift, if he had not had that QSS, certainly could have gone down there, but quick reactions.
Kill him from Sven.
But again, I mean, it's perks. He steps forward, utilizing his range advantage to try to keep Doublelift and Bjergsen away from the rest of his team.
So we got double GA ready for TSM, but still Bjergsen as an easy target for the man we're looking at on the side of G2, Trick himself. TSM are actually pushing forward with the Baron buff here. They are risking a potential engage from G2.
And they just finished Max Adams. Bjergsen just now finished Death Cap, so he's going to be a much larger threat here, but he's flashless.
No miasma from Bjergsen, was just put down. Trick not in a position to engage onto him just yet. Bjergsen is staying just outside of the picture, stepping in when he has miasma ready. He's waiting for the cooldown every time, using it on Trick, so there's no body slam.
And so for Spec Elder Dragon, nice knockback on a Hanser, has to jump back over the wall, still getting shut down. Even popped the stone plate. Hanser, I think, has to heal back up now.
Oh, here goes Vinti. This could be the
right
fight.
in the middle of the team, he brought in Mega Knock. They're looking for the damage here, but they jump over the wall just to buy a little bit more time. TSM running away. Explosive Cask only pulls in Biofrost.
That looked like Perks shoved them over the wall, perhaps, and saved them. Not realizing that interaction.
Bio's getting low. He's getting it for he's going to stay alive just barely.
Trick also just used his ulti, so he's not much of a threat
TSM
right now. Oh, TSM actually managed to stay alive here.
We have to see that replay again, though, because it really did look like Perks pushed them to safety over the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that they would have been able
to
actually get out themselves.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure as well myself. We'll definitely have to watch that again.
I'm not sure if it was a rocket jump and a Braum W, or if it was a seismic shove pushing them over.
Yeah, I think he'd send them back the other way, though, and not over the wall. But yeah, we have to watch. I didn't see it, of course. It was a very chaotic team fight, 5,000 gold apart. And Elder Dragon buff just now times out. TSM have 50 seconds. They've already recalled. Back on the map they go.
Scary stuff. TSM staying alive right there. Should actually have been a good fight for G2 with the Elder Drake, but now they ended up using Flash from Trick as well. So suddenly Bjergsen feeling much more confident, stepping forward.
7-1-2.
Still does not have his summoners, though. As you pointed out, and Doublelift, Bjergsen, both without Flash. They have the double GAs available, and they're trying to make use of this Baron buff.
Of this Baron buff. Biofrost up in a 2.5k, but a chunk of the
Bjergsen!
Oh, they've got the one! The turret's going down. There's a knock. If they actually get a bit of damage on a Trick, it's the CC. Sven's force pretty low. Causing forced to run away. Low health bars on Bjergsen, then a 1,000 under that in HP. Doublelift. If he has rocket up, he's safe. If he doesn't, okay, he does.
Yeah, TSM needed to back off. They got the turret. They do stay alive, but very low health bars. So G2 lose the inhibitor turret, keep the inhibitor. Their mid lane inhibitor is going to be coming back pretty soon, and we're really at this kind of just stalemate point.
I mean, it's the longest game of Rift Rivals so far in this one, and G2, to their credit, playing so much better than they have most of this weekend.
MSI all over again. The last game of the entire tournament, or group stage, sorry, you have G2 versus TSM. Long game where TSM is ahead, they're winning, and then G2 are just clawing their way back. Trick is currently sitting behind Svenskeren. All recalling. I actually thought for a moment Trick was just face-checking TSM, but it was his own teammates.
Doublelift does have the gold now to actually buy up a 6th item if he so chooses. So it'll be interesting to see if he's actually going to go for that. Neither AD carry has so far, but Sven did change up his itemization. He actually sold the Frozen Mallet to buy Lord Dominic, so to try to deal with some of the more armor that is being picked up.
Definitely agree with that choice, especially considering that anyone who pops the stone plate will have that max health value 100% over. You know, the big damage amp there. TSM waiting again in the brush, waiting in the wings. Spec does not land that one, but the ward comes over. Svenskeren, you can see, taking big chunks. He's pretty squishy in this build, right? He's got the Yomus, he's got the percent armor pen as well. Guardian Angel only gives you 30 armor.
And just to remind everyone, because it's been a very long game now, if G2 beats TSM, then the final of Rift Rivals will be P1 against Unicorns of Love. If TSM wins, then they will represent North America against Unicorns of Love.
It's just G2 looking to play spoiler for TSM.
They're trying at least.
And to play for some respect for themselves as well. They've had, of all the teams, the worst tournament here. And Making it 2-4 at least saves a bit of face. Gets
Perks
it a bit
looking
closer.
for the ultimate. They have the cutoff.
Oh,
by
Doug's got to be
himself.
careful. Doesn't get shut off completely, but he's still got to run away from Perks. Doesn't quite take the hits, though. Boots of speed at work. Bjergsen gets this stun. They took down Perks. That was a huge play out of Bjergsen. Now the fight can continue 5v4. This is what they need, and it's the tense moment here.
Once Mega Gnar expires, TSM is going to go very aggressive. Expect has to go now before it
Knock up on the
expires.
one. They're going to go for this play. The knockback on a 2. Buy a bit of time, but he's still not long for the world. And Double is staying alive, flashing away. Sven looking to make it happen. He's going to get shut down. That's it. That's going to be the game. There's no damage left. A double kill out of Bjergsen to seal the deal. Trick going to run away, but it doesn't matter. Even the German crowd happy to cheer TSM here as North America's #1 team will be #1 at Rift Rivals in the group stage, and they will move on to face Unicorns of Love to cement whether NA is greater than EU or EU is greater than NA.
And when push comes to shove, it's Bjergsen, the man in the mid lane, makes the game-ending play. The ult flash onto Perks, coming up when it counts, and they're going to go to the finals.
All credit to G2 making this game as close as they could, but the clutch moment went
waiting
down
for
to
the minions
Bjergsen.
to finish this.
They're going to try to
TSM
survive.
gonna relish their victory. They're gonna dance in the fountain. It's gonna go down. GG. Well played, TSM. 5-1.
We had so many insane moments towards the end of this game. We have very, very close fights. People were missing summoner spells, Elder Drake buffs, Baron buffs. Some of the walls from Perks just missing out on where Bjergsen will be on the map. And then that last fight, Perks got a little bit eager, feeling like maybe he could be the man, despite being 1-4 at that point. Sneaking in behind TSM, get the big play, but Bjergsen says, nah, I'm the man here getting the big play.
Yeah, I mean, when you go for those risky plays, at the end of the game, you're going to be a hero, you're going to be a zero. It's either going to come up big for your team or you cost your team the game, but you have to have the confidence sometimes to look for those plays because they were kind of bleeding out. They had lost all their inhibitor turrets, they were losing inhibitors, and it felt like G2 needed to make something happen.
I completely agree. I don't want to see hate online for Perks because this was a catastrophically difficult game, and he still did the most in the game. Perks had such an amazing Taliyah performance, 50 minutes long, putting out the best he could. One big play does not undermine that.
Yeah, and I think that Perks actually played so incredibly well, especially from behind, from the position that he was set earlier in the game. You know what I mean? Manipulating some of these team fights, being able to zone out Bjergsen and double lift, but TSM does hold strong, and they're going to the finals, and they have been the best team in this tournament so far.
Yep.
And now they're playing Unicorns of Love. We've seen these guys play against each other multiple times. I believe Unicorns of Love still have the winning record, but obviously
5-2.
5-2. So day one, TSM took them down. The manager of Unicorns of Love, he lost his hair and everything. Then Unicorns actually bounced back and beat TSM, so they're 1-1 against each other. And now it's just the best of 5.
And that second game was very crazy. I mean, it was TSM so far ahead, and Unicorns finding an incredible fight by the Baron with Vizichowski.
It's going to be absolutely insane, that series, actually. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yep, it also means that we're going to bid farewell to G2, to Fnatic, to Cloud9, to Phoenix One. Their time here is done. They fought very hard, of course, and had some pretty good runs back and forth, and now it just comes down to tomorrow's games. North America may have won the group stage, but it was a reasonably close set of games, a reasonably close sort of set of matches, and now it's down to the best of 5 to crown the official winner of Rift Rivals.
Sure. I think it's fair to say, though, that overall, I think the NA teams have looked just slightly above the European teams, if we just judge all the games we've seen so far.
Sure.
But again, we are looking at two teams who are 1-1 against each other. So we can't really say TSM goes into the final as favorites. I think actually it's super even between them and Unicorns.
And I think we also all know that a best of 5 is a different beast, right? It requires, I think, more preparation. There's more time to actually set up for what you want, how you want to attack the teams, both as far as strategy and pick bans. So seeing the adaptations coming out from these teams will be very